Hey Simply Family, day 4 of our Advent series. We've been working our way through this whole picture of God making something good, Satan coming in and deceiving and destroying. It's a familiar picture for those of us that have been Christians for some time. But I'm praying that we'll just grasp some new truths, new reality, that it will encourage us and excite us and look forward to the celebration of Christmas where Jesus comes and changes everything and makes the biggest difference anyone in the world could make. And so we pick up today, we know that Adam and Eve have fallen, and we pick that up in the second half of, or the middle portion of chapter 3 of Genesis. And in verse 8 it says, "And they heard the sound of the Lord God walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and the man and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Lord God among the trees of the garden. But the Lord God called to the man and said to him, 'Where are you?' And he said, 'I'm here. I heard the sound of you in the garden, and I was afraid, because I was naked and I hid myself.' He said, 'Who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten of the tree of which I commanded you not to eat?' The man said to the woman whom you gave to me, 'She gave me the fruit of the tree and I ate.' Then the Lord God said to the woman, 'What is this that you've done?' And the woman said, 'The serpent deceived me and I ate.' The Lord God said to the serpent, 'Because you have done this, cursed are you above all livestock and above all beasts of the field. On your belly,'" let's get rid of his legs now, "'you shall go, and dust you shall eat all the days of your life. I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and her offspring. He shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel.'" And then he goes on with the rest of the judgments. And we see right here from the beginning a broken and fractured relationship. Remember, Adam and Eve walking in the presence of God. Everything is very good. Satan comes in, deceives them. They then step into sin. Sin is now their master. And the way that they respond to it is they hide themselves from God. It says they hid themselves from the presence of God. They could hear him coming, walking through the garden. They used to walk with him all the time in God's presence, enjoying him and him enjoying them. And now sin has fractured that, and now they're running from God. And this is the picture we see throughout our world, that sin causes us to run from God. And even us as Christians who have now meant to have been set free from the power of sin, there's this crazy thing that the more we enter into sin, the more we disengage with our relationship with God and our church family. I don't know about you, but sometimes you can either just feel really bad about yourself or feel guilty for what you've done, or you just get plummet so deep down within yourself that you just don't want anyone else around. And sin has this isolating effect on us, and that's exactly what Satan wants. Satan wants us to be separated from God and each other, because that is the place in which he can continue to feed the lies and the doubts. And if we've already fallen into sin, he can then accuse us and blame us and say, you're never going to get out of that sin again. And we plummet further down and we disconnect even more. And my encouragement is this, is that we need to not allow Satan's schemes to overcome us, to fall into his hands. But if we mess up or we get things wrong, that we deal with it quickly and we step back into relationship with God. Not that we ever really did, because he never runs from us. But in our own selves, we step back into him and we step back into the family of God. And even if you're just struggling with life and its situations and its circumstances, again, Satan will try and cause us to pull away, to not be part of the church family. And yet God called us to be one body, one family. And it's the safest place that we can be in relationship to God with each other. And so I'd encourage you that even when your whole being wants to isolate itself, choose not to, choose to engage. And you might say, well, I don't get anything from it, or I'm not sure if I connect with these. And we can have all of these excuses, and Satan will play on them and feed them and get us all messed up and mixed up. But we have to choose. It's a decision of our will. That's why we're to pick up our cross. That's why we're to deny ourselves. That's the flesh life that keeps trying to rear its ugly head, and follow Jesus. And my encouragement would to be continue to ask people to pray with you, surround yourself with people, press into God with each other. And the last thing that I want to say on this bit is this chapter 15 is an encouragement. It's what's called the proto-evangelium. It's the first gospel, and it's easy to miss, but this is what it says. He shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. It's a prophetic statement that Jesus is going to come, and that Satan will snap at At his heels, as we know, Satan comes and tries to mess up the work of Jesus. But Jesus will ultimately crush his head. Jesus will ultimately destroy the work of Satan, the power of evil, the power of sin over our lives. And this gospel is already encouraging us for many, many centuries to come that Jesus will come. The King of Kings, the Lord of Lords will come. Advent, remember, it's this looking forward to, proclaiming, welcoming somebody of notable, of power, of importance that's coming. And this is saying Jesus is coming. He is the one that will destroy the power of Satan, sin, and death. And for us who are Christian, the fact is he has destroyed the power of Satan, sin, and death. And so the encouragement is we don't have to fall into those temptations. We don't have to fall into those lies, but we can walk now in step with Jesus through the Spirit in relationship with God and one another, because Jesus, the serpent crusher, has come. We will pick up again tomorrow with a few more thoughts as we work through just a few passages now of the Old Testament before we get into the New Testament.